The Great Hall of the Galactic Council had never seen such fear. Ambassador Veltar stood at the center of the crystal chamber, his blue crystalline body flickering with nervous energy. Around him, the most powerful beings in the galaxy sat in their floating chairs, but today they looked small and scared. The Devourer swarm has consumed the Kepler system, Veltar announced, his voice echoing through the chamber. 3 billion souls, gone in less than 2 days. Commander Thixel, the insectoid military leader, clicked his mandibles in distress. His 6 eyes showed the same terror that filled the room. My fleets cannot stop them. They eat everything. Ships, planets, stars, nothing works against them. Elder Quanda, an ancient being made of pure energy, floated higher above the others. Her light pulsed with worry. We have tried everything. Plasma cannons, quantum bombs, even antimatter weapons. The swarm adapts too quickly. They consume our attacks and grow stronger. The chamber fell silent. For 200 years, the Galactic Council had kept peace across 1,000 worlds. They had ended wars with words, not weapons. Their citizens lived in comfort and safety. But now, something had come from the dark between stars, and it was hungry. How many ships have we lost? Asked Ambassador Veltar. 7,000, Commander Thixel replied. The swarm destroyed them all, my best pilots, my strongest ships, all gone. The numbers hit the chamber like a physical blow. 7,000. Ships represented decades of peaceful construction. The Council had built their fleets for show, not for real war. Their weapons were designed to frighten, not to kill. The swarm moves toward the inner rim, Elder Quenda said. They will reach the core worlds in 60 days. We cannot evacuate everyone. We cannot fight them. What do we do? The question hung in the air like poison. The greatest minds in the galaxy had no answer. They had forgotten how to fight real wars. They had forgotten what it meant to face something that wanted to destroy everything they loved. Ambassador Veltar's aide, a young Zephyrian named Nixal, stepped forward nervously. Sir, there might be something. Speak, Veltar commanded. The Deathworld archives, sir. The classified files. The chamber erupted in shocked whispers. The Deathworld archives were forbidden. They contained information about the galaxy's most dangerous species, the ones too violent to join civilized society. Those files are sealed for good reason, Elder, Quenda said sternly. The species in those archives are monsters. But they know how to fight, Nixal said quietly. They come from worlds that try to kill them every day. They understand war in ways we have forgotten. Commander Thixel leaned forward. Which species are you talking about? Nixal's voice became even quieter. The ones from Sol3, the humans. The chamber went completely silent. Even the soft hum of the life support system seemed to stop. The name human was whispered in dark corners, a legend told to frighten children. They were quarantined for a reason, Ambassador Veltar said. They are too dangerous. What did they do? Asked a voice from the back of the chamber. Nixal activated a holographic display. Ancient files appeared in the air, glowing with red warning symbols. 200 years ago, humans made first contact with a Zephyrian exploration fleet. The fleet commander decided to test human military capability. The hologram showed a single human ship, small and primitive-looking. Around it, 50 advanced Zephyrian vessels formed an attack formation. The Zephyrians thought it would be easy, Nixal continued. They had superior technology, superior numbers, superior everything. The human ship was outnumbered 50-1. What happened? Commander Thixel asked, though his voice suggested he already knew. The human ship won. The hologram played the battle recording. The human vessel moved like nothing the aliens had ever seen. It was unpredictable, violent, desperate. It rammed enemy ships, used debris as weapons, and fought with a fury that terrified the civilized Zephyrians. In 30 minutes, the humans destroyed 47 ships, Nixal said. The remaining 3 ships fled. The human captain then broadcast a message to all Zephyrian worlds. The message played in the chamber. A human voice, calm and cold, filled The air. We did not start this fight. But we will finish any fight you bring to us. Leave us alone, and we will leave you alone. Attack us again, and we will show you what a real war looks like. The Galactic Council voted to quarantine their entire solar system, Nixal explained. We told ourselves it was for their protection, but really it was for ours. Elder Quanda's light flickered nervously. They are barbarians. Savages from a death world? They solve everything with violence? Yes, Nixal said simply. And right now, we need someone who knows how to use violence. The chamber erupted in angry voices. Some council members shouted that humans were too dangerous. Others argued that desperate times called for desperate measures. The debate raged for hours. Finally, Ambassador Veltar called for silence. We are dying, he said. The swarm will consume everything we have built, everything we love. Maybe it is time to remember that sometimes survival requires monsters. You want to break the quarantine? Commander Thixel asked. I want to live, Veltar replied. I want my people to live. I want civilization to survive. If that means asking Deathworlders for help, then that is what we must do. The vote was close. By a single margin, the Galactic Council agreed to break the quarantine. They would send a message to Sol 3, to Earth, to the humans they had locked away 2 centuries ago. As the meeting ended, Elder Quenda approached Ambassador Veltar. Do you know what you have done? She asked. I have given us a chance, he replied. You have reminded the galaxy why we locked them away in the first place, she said. Humans do not just fight wars, they win them. And when they win, they change everything. The message was sent that night. A simple transmission carried by quantum relay across the galaxy to a small blue world orbiting a yellow star. The message was brief. This is the Galactic Council. We need your help. The galaxy is dying. Please respond. In the depths of space, the message traveled toward Earth. The humans had been quiet for 200 years. But the galaxy was about to remember why they had been so quiet. They had been getting ready. The message reached Earth at 0347 hours, local time. It passed through automated systems, quantum relays, and defense grids that the galaxy had forgotten existed. Deep beneath the lunar surface, warning lights began to flash in a command center. That officially did not exist. Admiral Jinha was drinking coffee when the alert came through. At 45 years old, his face was marked by scars from a dozen conflicts the galaxy knew nothing about. His dark eyes had seen things that would break most alien minds. When the communication officer called his name, he set down his cup without a tremor. Sir, we're receiving a transmission from the Galactic Council, the officer reported. It's on the old emergency frequency. Jinha raised an eyebrow. 200 years of silence, and now they want to talk? The message is brief, sir. They say the galaxy is dying and they need our help. Jinha walked to the main display screen. The lunar command center spread out before him like a cathedral of war. Hundreds of officers worked at stations monitoring every corner of the solar system. Above them, holographic displays showed the positions of Earth's hidden fleet. Send the message to Dr. Harin, Jinha ordered. Tell her to meet me in Conference Room Alpha and get Captain Quan up here. Dr. Harin arrived first. At 32, she was Earth's leading expert on alien biology and military strategy. Her sharp mind had spent years studying the galaxy's weaknesses, preparing for the day they might need to defend themselves again. Admiral, she said, entering the secure room, I've analyzed the transmission. The Galactic Council is terrified. Of what? Something called the Devourer Swarm, according to their data. It's consumed 3 star systems in the last month. Their fleets can't stop it. Jinha nodded slowly. And they think we can? They remember what we did to the Zephyrians? 47 ships destroyed in 30 minutes. They think we're still the same primitive species they quarantined. The door opened and Captain Quan entered. At 38, he was the perfect example of human military evolution. His body was lean and strong, his movements precise. His men called him the Ghost because he could move through any environment without being detected. Admiral, Quan said, taking a seat, I heard we have visitors coming. The Council is sending a ship, Jinha confirmed. They want to negotiate. After 200 years of ignoring us? Quan's voice carried a hint of anger. What's changed? Dr. Harin activated the holographic display. Images of the Devourer swarm appeared in the air. The creatures looked like a nightmare combination of insect and machine, with endless teeth and claws. These things are killing everything, she explained. The Council's civilized fleets can't handle real warfare. They've forgotten how to fight. But we haven't, Jinha said quietly. No, sir, Quan replied. We've been preparing. Jinha stood and walked to the window. Outside, the lunar surface stretched away into star-filled darkness. But he wasn't looking at the stars. He was looking at the hidden launch bays built into the moon's surface, each one containing ships that could reshape the galaxy. Show me. The current fleet status? He ordered. The display changed. Numbers and ship classifications filled the air. The Galactic Council thought humans were still using primitive chemical rockets. They had no idea what Earth had built during 2 centuries of isolation. 1,200 heavy cruisers, Dr. Harin read from the display. 800 destroyers, 400 assault carriers, 200 dreadnoughts. And the special projects? Jinha asked, all functional. The Titan-class ships are ready for deployment. The experimental weapons have passed all tests. Captain Quan leaned forward. My special forces are ready too. We've been training for this kind of warfare. The men know how to fight in environments that would kill most aliens. Jinha turned back to his officers. The Council thinks they're asking primitive humans for help. They have no idea what we've become. Should we tell them? Dr. Harin asked, eventually. But first, let's see what they're really facing. The Council's ship arrived 3 days later. It was a standard diplomatic vessel, built for comfort rather than combat. As it approached Earth, its crew expected to find a primitive world with basic technology. Instead, they found something that made their instruments go crazy. Earth's solar system was filled with energy signatures they couldn't identify. There were structures in space that shouldn't exist. And there were ships moving with impossible speed and precision. Ambassador Veltar himself had come to Earth. As his ship entered Earth's atmosphere, he stared at the planet below. It looked peaceful, covered in blue oceans and green continents, but his scanners showed something else. Ambassador, his aide said nervously, I'm detecting massive military installations. Underground cities, weapon systems that shouldn't be possible. How many ships do they have? Veltar asked. Sir, I can't get an accurate count. They're using stealth technology beyond our understanding. But there are thousands of them. The ship landed at Luna Base, humanity's official first contact facility. Ambassador Veltar expected to meet primitive humans in simple rooms. Instead, he found himself in a command center that made the Galactic Council's technology look like toys. Admiral, Jinha waited for him in the main briefing room. When the doors opened, Veltar saw a human who looked nothing like the historical records. This was not a primitive savage. This was a military commander who had perfected the art of war. Ambassador Veltar, Jinha said, standing. Welcome to Earth. I understand you need our help. Veltar's crystalline body flickered with surprise. You speak our language perfectly. We've had 200 years to learn. We've been watching the galaxy, even if the galaxy hasn't been watching us. Dr. Harin stepped forward. We've analyzed the data you sent about the Devourer swarm. Your fleets are fighting them wrong. What do you mean? Veltar asked. You're trying to fight them like civilized beings, Captain Quan said. You use formations, tactics, rules of engagement. The swarm doesn't care about rules. Jinha activated a holographic display. The swarm is a predator. It hunts, it feeds, it grows. You can't reason with it. You can't negotiate with it. You can only kill it. And you know how to kill it? Veltar asked. We know how to kill anything, Jinha replied. We come from a world that tries to kill us every day. We've spent 2 centuries learning how to turn that experience into military advantage. Veltar watched as the display showed human combat simulations. The tactics were brutal, efficient, and completely alien to civilized warfare. Humans fought like they had nothing to lose and everything to gain. "You'll help us?" Veltar asked. "On our terms?" Jinha said. "We command our own forces. We use our own tactics. And when this is over, the galaxy remembers that Earth is not a prison. It's a fortress. What are your terms?" Jinha smiled, and for the first time, Veltar understood why the galaxy had been afraid of humans. Simple, we fight the swarm our way. And when we win, the quarantine ends. Humanity takes its place in the galaxy, and if you lose? "Ambassador," Jinha said quietly, "we don't lose. We're from Earth. Losing means dying, and we're very good at staying alive." Outside, the hidden fleet began to move. 200 years of preparation were about to be tested. The galaxy had forgotten humanity's name. They were about to remember it. The Kepler 442 system was dying. Commander Thixel watched from his command ship as the last defense stations fell to the devourer swarm. His insectoid eyes tracked the nightmare creatures as they consumed everything in their path. "Sir, we've lost contact with the orbital platforms," his communications officer reported. "The swarm is moving toward the inner planets." Thixel's mandibles clicked in frustration. 3 million civilians lived on those worlds. His fleet of 200 ships was all that stood between them and total annihilation. "How long until the evacuation is complete?" he asked. 6 hours, sir, but the swarm will reach the planets in 4. Thixel closed his eyes. He had fought in 17 battles during his career. He had never lost a single engagement. But this was different. The swarm didn't follow rules. It didn't retreat when damaged. It just kept coming, growing stronger with everything it consumed. "Sir," the sensor operator's voice cracked with panic. "New contacts on the edge of the system. Unknown. Ships approaching at impossible speed." Thixel opened his eyes. "Reinforcements from the Council?" "No, sir. The energy signatures are completely unknown. They're moving faster than our fastest ships." Then the main display showed the new arrivals. 50 ships emerged from hyperspace, their designs unlike anything in the galactic database. They were angular, predatory, built for war rather than exploration. "Sir, we're receiving a transmission." Admiral Jinha's face appeared on the screen. His scarred features and calm eyes marked him as a veteran of countless battles. Behind him, Thixel could see a bridge designed for combat, not diplomacy. "Commander." "Thixel," Jinha said. "This is Admiral Jinha of the Earth Defense Force. We're here to help." "Admiral, your ships. They're not in our database." "We've made some improvements during our isolation," Jinha replied. "Dr. Harin will coordinate with your tactical officers. Captain Kwan is preparing boarding parties. We suggest you pull your ships back to a safe distance." "Safe distance from what?" Thixel asked. Jinha's expression didn't change. "From what happens when humans go to war." The human ships moved into attack formation. Thixel watched in amazement as they approached the swarm with no hesitation. Most civilized species would study the enemy, run simulations, hold planning meetings. The humans just attacked. Dr. Harin's voice came through the communication system. "Commander, we're analyzing the swarm's behavior patterns. Your ships have been fighting them like a traditional enemy." "That's your first mistake." "What do you mean?" Thixel asked. "The swarm isn't an army, it's a hunting pack. It surrounds prey, weakens it, then moves in for the kill. Your formations are too predictable." On the display, the human ships scattered in all directions. They moved like a pack of wolves, each ship independent but working together. The swarm tried to surround them, but the humans refused to be trapped. "Watch and learn," Dr. Harin said. The first human ship to engage the swarm was a heavy cruiser called the Relentless. Instead of firing from a distance like civilized fleets, it charged straight into the middle of the swarm formation. "Are they insane?" Thixel's weapons officer asked. "No," Dr. Harin replied. "They're human." The Relentless opened fire with weapons that made no sense to alien observers. Instead of clean energy beams, it used projectile weapons that tore through swarm bioships like paper. When a swarm creature tried to board the human ship, the Relentless Rammed it at full speed. They're using their ship as a weapon, Thixel said in disbelief. Welcome to human warfare, Dr. Harin replied. We don't just fight with our weapons, we fight with everything. More human ships joined the attack. They moved in patterns that seemed chaotic but were actually perfectly coordinated. When one ship was damaged, another would cover it. When the swarm adapted to their tactics, the humans would immediately change their approach. Captain Kwan's voice came through the communication system. Admiral requesting permission to begin boarding. Operations. Granted, Jinha replied. Show them what Earth's warriors can do. Small human ships detached from the main fleet and flew directly at the largest swarm bioships. Thixel watched in horror as they crashed through the creatures' hulls and disappeared. Inside, they're boarding the enemy ships, he said. That's suicide. Not for humans, Dr. Harin explained. Captain Kwan's men are trained to fight in environments that would kill most species. Inside those bioships, they're in their element. The boarding parties fought through the nightmare interior of the swarm vessels. The creatures inside were designed to kill anything that entered their domain. But Kwan's soldiers were from Earth, a world that had been trying to kill humans for millions of years. They moved through the bioships like ghosts, using the creatures' own biology against them. They turned the ship's nervous systems into weapons, caused internal systems to fail, and fought hand-to-hand with monsters that had never faced anything like them. Boarding Party Alpha has reached the primary neural cluster, Kwan reported. Setting charges now. The first swarm bioship exploded from within, then another, then another. The human boarding parties were destroying the creatures faster than they could adapt. But the real shock came when the swarm tried to retreat. In every previous battle, when the swarm took heavy losses, it would withdraw to regroup, but the humans didn't let them. All ships pursue and destroy, Jinha ordered. No survivors. The human fleet chased the fleeing swarm creatures through the asteroid field. They used the asteroids as cover, as weapons, as launching platforms for surprise attacks. They fought a three-dimensional battle that used every piece of debris in the system. They're not just defeating the swarm, Thixel realized. They're hunting it. Now you understand, Dr. Harin said. The swarm thinks it's a predator, but humans are apex predators. We've been hunting for millions of years. The battle lasted 3 hours. When it ended, the swarm formation was completely destroyed. 50 human ships had defeated a swarm force that had consumed 3 star systems. Commander Thixel stared at the aftermath. The human ships hung in space, barely damaged. His own fleet, which had been helpless against the swarm, had watched from the sidelines as the humans did what the galaxy thought was impossible. Admiral Jinha, he said finally. How did you know how to fight them? Jinha's scarred face appeared on the screen again. Commander, we come from a world where everything tries to kill us. Predators, weather, disease, even the plants. We've spent our entire existence learning how to kill things that want to kill us. The swarm has consumed entire civilizations, Thixel said. They've never been defeated. They've never fought Deathworlders before, Jinha replied. The galaxy has forgotten what real warfare looks like. You've been living in peace for so long that you've forgotten how to fight for survival. Dr. Harin's voice added, Your species fights to win territory, resources, political advantage. Humans fight to survive. There's a difference. Captain. Kwan's image appeared on the screen. His armor was covered in biomatter from the swarm ships. Admiral, all boarding parties have returned. Enemy vessels are confirmed destroyed. Good work, Captain. Prepare for the next phase. Next phase? Thixel asked. Commander, this was just one small group of the swarm. According to our intelligence, the main force is still out there. We're going to find it and destroy it. The main force is 1,000 times larger than what we just fought, Thixel said. Jinha smiled, and for the first time, Thixel understood why the galaxy had quarantined humanity. Commander, you still don't understand. We're not just here to fight the swarm. We're here to remind the galaxy what happens when you threaten human worlds. But these aren't human worlds, Thixel said. They are now, Jinha replied. The moment you asked for our help, you became our responsibility, and humans protect what is theirs. The human fleet began to move toward the edge of the system. They were heading for the swarm's main force, and they were going to hunt it down like the predators they were. Commander Thixel watched them go, finally understanding what the galaxy had awakened. For 200 years, they had kept humanity locked away, thinking they were protecting the galaxy from dangerous savages. But they hadn't been protecting the galaxy from humanity. They had been protecting humanity from the galaxy. Now the humans were free, and the universe would never be the same. The Veil Nebula had been dark for 1,000,000 years. Now it pulsed with the twisted light of the Devourer Swarm's primary hive. Billions of bioships moved through the cosmic dust like a plague of living nightmares. Admiral Jinha stood on the bridge of the Indomitable, watching the impossible sight before them. The nebula stretched across 3 light years, and every particle of dust seemed to be alive with swarm creatures. "Admiral," Dr. Haran reported from her station, "I'm reading. Over 10,000 major bioships. Millions of smaller ones. This is their entire civilization." "Good," Jinha replied. "Then we only have to do this once." Commander Thixel's voice came through the communication system. His council fleet hung at the edge of the nebula, afraid. "To enter, Admiral, this is madness. You cannot fight that many enemies." "Watch us," Jinha said simply. The human fleet had grown during their journey to the nebula. Ships had arrived from hidden bases throughout the galaxy, emerging from stealth to join the attack. Now 200 human vessels faced the swarms. Entire force. Captain Quan's image appeared on the main screen. He was aboard the assault ship Predator, preparing his boarding teams. "Admiral, we're ready for final assault. My men are eager to finish this." "Remember, Captain," Jinha said, "we're not just fighting the swarm, we're fighting for the future of the galaxy." "Understood, sir. We won't let you down." Dr. Haran turned from her instruments. "Admiral, I've been analyzing the swarm's behavior. There's something you need to know." "What is it?" "They're not just mindless creatures. There's an intelligence controlling them, a central mind deep in the nebula's core." Jinha nodded. "The Queen?" "Something like that." "But Admiral, I'm detecting familiar energy patterns." "The swarm's core. Consciousness ... It's encountered species like us before." "Deathworlders?" "Yes, and judging by the defensive formations around the core, it's afraid of us." The human fleet entered the nebula in attack formation. Immediately, the swarm responded. Millions of bioships swarmed toward them like angry hornets. But the humans had learned from their previous battle. They didn't fight the swarm in open space. Instead, they used the nebula itself as a weapon. They fired into the dense gas clouds, creating explosions that destroyed hundreds of enemies at once. They used the nebula's magnetic fields to redirect swarm attacks back at the creatures. "All ships, Phase 2, Jinha ordered. Begin penetration assault." The human fleet split into smaller groups, each one carving a path through the swarm toward the nebula's core. They moved like spears thrust into living flesh, cutting deep wounds that the swarm couldn't heal. But the deeper they went, the stranger things became. The swarm creatures began to communicate, sending messages that Dr. Haran's equipment could barely translate. "Admiral," she said, "the swarm is trying to talk to us." "Put it through." The voice that came through the speakers was ancient and tired. It spoke in a language that seemed to bypass the ears and speak directly to the mind. "Children of the burning world," it said, "you have come as we knew you would. Who are you?" Jinha asked. "We are the hunger. We are the end of stagnation. We consume what cannot grow." Dr. Haran's eyes widened. "Admiral, it's not just talking to us, it's scanning our minds. It knows what we are." "We have consumed 1,000 civilizations," the swarm mind continued. "But always, we flee from the children of the burning worlds. Always, we run from those who carry the fire." "What fire?" Jinha demanded. "The fire that burns in the hearts of those who refuse to surrender. The fire that turns weakness into strength. The fire that makes evolution possible." Captain Quan's voice came through the communication system. Admiral, we're approaching the core. The swarm creatures here are different. They're not attacking, they're watching. Continue your mission, Captain. Sir, I don't think they want to fight us. I think they're afraid. Dr. Haran was working frantically at her station. Admiral, I'm beginning to understand. The swarm isn't a conqueror, it's a test. Explain. It travels the galaxy, consuming civilizations that have become too comfortable, too safe. It forces evolution or extinction. But when it encounters species that have already evolved, species that have been tested by their own worlds, it runs away, Jinha finished. Yes, and we're the ultimate test? We come from a world that has been trying to kill us for millions of years. We represent everything the swarm is trying to create. The human fleet reached the nebula's core. There, floating in a sphere of twisted energy, was the swarm's central consciousness. It was vast, ancient, and utterly alien. But as Captain Kwan's boarding teams approached, it made no move to defend itself. "Children of Earth," the swarm mind said, "we have waited for you." Kwan's voice came through the speakers. "Admiral, we're inside the core structure. It's like nothing I've ever seen. The walls are alive, but they're not attacking. They're welcoming us. Proceed with caution, Captain." "Sir, there's something else. The core chamber is full of records. Images of other species, other worlds. I think this thing has been cataloging civilizations for millions of years," Dr. Haran gasped. "Admiral, it's not just cataloging them, it's preserving them. Every species the swarm has consumed, their knowledge, their culture, their genetic patterns, it's all here." "Why?" Jinha asked. The swarm mind's voice grew softer. "Because the galaxy grows stagnant. Comfort breeds weakness. Safety breeds complacency. Only through struggle do species evolve. So you destroy civilizations to make them stronger? We destroy civilizations that cannot become stronger. We preserve those that can. And we flee from those that already are." Kwan's team had reached the chamber's center. There, pulsing with alien light, was the swarm's core consciousness. It was beautiful and terrible, a living computer that had orchestrated the death of worlds. "Admiral," Kwan reported, "I'm at the core. My team is in position, but sir, I don't think we should destroy it." "Why not?" "Because it's not evil. It's just doing what it thinks is necessary, and sir, it's dying," Dr. Haran confirmed the readings. "Admiral, the swarm mind is ancient. It's been carrying this burden for millions of years. It's tired." "Children of the burning world," the swarm mind said, "you have proven what we hoped. The galaxy has produced a species that can carry the fire forward." "What fire?" Jinha asked. "Again, the fire of evolution, the fire of growth, the fire that refuses to accept defeat. Your species will take our place." "We don't want your place," Jinha said firmly. "You already have it. The moment you chose to fight for others instead of just yourselves, you became the galaxy's guardians. You will test the weak, protect the strong, and ensure that the fire of evolution never dies." Kwan's voice was quiet. "Admiral, it's asking us to end its suffering. It wants to die." Jinha closed his eyes. The responsibility was enormous. The swarm had been the galaxy's test for millions of years. Now it was passing that role to humanity. "Captain," he said finally, "do what needs to be done." "Yes, sir." The explosion was not violent. It was gentle, like the last breath of something. Very old and very tired. The swarm mind dissolved into particles of light that spread throughout the nebula. As it died, the remaining swarm creatures stopped moving. Without their central consciousness, they simply drifted in space, no longer a threat to anyone. "Admiral," Dr. Haran said softly, "it's over. The swarm is gone." Jinha looked out at the nebula, now filled with the peaceful light of the swarm mind's final gift. "No," he said. "It's not over. It's just beginning." "Sir?" "We're no longer just defending Earth. We're defending the galaxy. And that's a job that will never end." Captain Kan's team returned to their ship, carrying with them the preserved knowledge of 1,000 civilizations. The galaxy had gained something precious, but it had also gained something dangerous. Humanity now carried the fire that kept. The universe growing, and fire, Jinha knew, could both create and destroy. The question was, would the galaxy be strong enough to handle what humans might become? Only time would tell. 3 months after the swarm's defeat, the Galactic Council chambers had changed. The crystal walls now displayed holographic images of human ships patrolling the galaxy's borders. The comfortable floating chairs had been replaced with solid seats that could withstand the presence of Deathworlders. Ambassador Veltar stood before the assembled council, but today he was not alone. Admiral Jinha sat beside him, his scarred face calm as he watched the galaxy's leaders debate humanity's future. The humans have exceeded all expectations, Veltar announced. They have not only defeated the swarm but have begun establishing what they call defense stations throughout the galaxy. Elder Quanda's energy form flickered with concern. These defense stations are heavily armed. Are we trading one threat for another? Jinha stood slowly. When he spoke, his voice carried the weight of authority earned through 2 centuries of preparation. Elder Quenda, we are not here to conquer anyone. We are here to protect everyone. From what? Commander, Thixol asked. The swarm is gone. The swarm was one threat, Jinha replied. There are others. The galaxy is vast, and not everything in it is friendly. You've been living in peace for so long that you've forgotten the dark spaces between stars. Dr. Haran's image appeared on the main display. She was speaking from the research station humanity had built in the Veil Nebula, where they were studying the swarm's preserved knowledge. Council members, she said, we've analyzed the data the swarm collected over millions of years. The galaxy has faced extinction-level threats 17 times in recorded history. Each time, they were stopped by species like us, Deathworlders who refused to surrender. What happened to those species? Veltar asked. They evolved beyond the need for physical form, or they left the galaxy entirely. Humanity is the first Deathworld species to choose to stay and protect others. The council chamber fell silent. The implications were staggering. Humanity could have followed the path of those ancient species, becoming something beyond mortal understanding. Instead, they chose to remain as guardians. What do you want from us? Elder Quinda asked. Jinha's expression softened slightly. Nothing you cannot give freely. We want to end the quarantine. We want to establish diplomatic relations. We want to trade knowledge and culture with species who are ready for it. And if we refuse, Commander Thixol asked, then we continue as we have been, protecting the galaxy from the shadows, whether you acknowledge us or not. Captain Quan's voice came through the communication system. He was aboard the Predator, leading a patrol in the Outer Rim. Admiral, we've encountered something you need to know about. Report, Captain. We found survivors, sir. A species called the Corvani. Their world was attacked by something the swarm never encountered. Something that made the swarm run away. The council chamber erupted in worried whispers. If something could frighten the swarm, it was a threat beyond imagination. What did you find? Jinha asked. Machines, sir. Ancient artificial intelligences that consume everything in their path. They've been dormant for millions of years, but something is waking them up. Dr. Haran's voice cut through the chamber's panic. Admiral, I'm detecting similar energy signatures in 17 other systems. Whatever Captain Quan found, it's not alone. Jinha turned to the council. This is what we mean. The galaxy is not safe simply because one threat is gone. There are always others. Always challenges that require someone willing to face the impossible. What do you propose? Veltar asked. We propose the formation of the Galactic Defense Corps, a joint military organization led by humanity but including volunteers from all species. We will train them to fight like Deathworlders, to think like survivors, to never surrender. You want to turn the galaxy into warriors like yourselves? Elder Quenda asked. No, Jinha replied. We want to give the galaxy the tools to protect itself. We want to share what we've learned about survival so that no species ever has to face extinction alone. Commander Thixol leaned forward. And humanity will lead this organization? For now. until other species prove they can handle the responsibility. But understand, Commander, leadership is not a privilege. It's a burden. We carry the weight of every life we fail to save. The Council voted. It was not unanimous, but it was decisive. The quarantine would end. Humanity would be welcomed back into galactic society. The Galactic Defense Corps would be established, but as the formal ceremonies began, Jinha found himself standing alone on the observation deck of Luna Base, Earth. Hung before him, blue and beautiful and deadly, it was the world that had forged humanity into what they were. Dr. Harin joined him at the window. Regrets, Admiral? None about the war, Jinha replied. But I wonder what we've started. The galaxy is asking us to be their guardians. Are we ready for that responsibility? We've been ready for 200 years, Harin said. The question is whether they're ready for us. Captain Kwan's transport arrived at Luna Base. He brought with him the first class of alien volunteers for the Defense Corps. They were young beings from a dozen different species, all eager to learn humanity's secrets. How do they look? Jinha asked. Scared but determined, Kwan replied. They've heard the stories about human training. They know it won't be easy. Good, easy training creates easy targets. The first lesson began in the training complex deep beneath Luna's surface. Kwan stood before 30 alien recruits, each one representing their species' best and brightest. You are here to learn what it means to be human, he told them. Not biologically, but philosophically. You are here to learn that surrender is not an option, that impossible is just another word for difficult, that the only true defeat is the one you accept. A young Zephyrian raised her crystalline hand. Captain, what if we're not strong enough? Kwan smiled. Then we'll make you stronger. That's what humans do. We take what we have and we make it better. We take our weaknesses and we turn them into strengths. We take our fears and we use them as fuel. What if we fail? Asked the Hive Coalition insectoid. And we try again and again and again, until we succeed or until we die trying. And if we die trying, we make sure our sacrifice teaches others how to succeed. The training was brutal. Alien recruits learned to fight in environments that would have killed them instantly before. They learned to think like predators, to move like ghosts, to never give up no matter how hopeless things seemed, but they also learned something else. They learned that being human wasn't about being the strongest or the smartest. It was about being the most stubborn. It was about refusing to quit when quitting was the logical choice. 6 months later, the first graduating class of the Galactic Defense Corps stood at attention before Admiral Jinha. They looked different now. They moved with purpose, spoke with confidence, and carried themselves like warriors. You came here as representatives of your species, Jinha told them. You leave as something more. You leave as guardians of the galaxy. You carry with you the fire that keeps civilization alive. What is that fire, Admiral? Asked the young Zephyrian. Jinha looked out at the assembled graduates. They were no longer just aliens who had learned human tactics. They were something new, something that had never existed before. The fire is hope, he said. The fire is the belief that tomorrow can be better than today. The fire is the refusal to accept that any problem is too big to solve, any enemy too strong to defeat. And if we lose that fire? Asked the insectoid. Then you come back to Earth, you remember where you learned to burn, and you light it again? The graduates dispersed throughout the galaxy, each one carrying humanity's lessons to their own species. They established training centers, defense networks, and most importantly, they spread the idea that survival was not enough. That growth, evolution, and the refusal to surrender were what made life worth living. Years passed. The galaxy grew stronger. New threats emerged and were defeated. The ancient machines Captain Kwan had discovered were contained and studied. Other dangers from the deep void were met and overcome, and through it all, humanity stood watch. Not as conquerors but as guardians. Not as rulers but as teachers. They showed the galaxy what it meant to face the impossible and win. Admiral Jinha, now older but still vigilant, stood once again on Luna Base's observation deck. The galaxy was safer now, but it was also more alive. Species that had grown comfortable in peace were now growing strong in purpose. Was it worth it? Dr. Haran asked, joining him as she had so many times before. Genha smiled. Ask me in 100 years, when the galaxy no longer needs us to protect it. When every species has learned to protect itself. When the fire we lit burns in every heart across the stars. And if that day never comes, then we keep burning. That's what it means to be human. We are the fire that refuses to go out. Outside, human ships patrolled the galaxy's borders. In training centers across 1,000 worlds, new guardians learned to fight like Deathworlders. And on Earth, humanity's cradle, children played in the gardens while their parents kept watch among the stars. The galaxy had remembered humanity's name. And with that memory came the promise that no matter how dark the void became, the fire of human determination would light the way forward. Forever.